In this video, I'm going to explain to you what an investment property is, what are the different kinds of investment properties, and which property I recommend that you buy. Now, this information is going to be specific to my market, which is Lethbridge, Alberta, but this also applies to almost any city in Alberta. So let's get into it. First, what is an investment property? Now, in the most basic terms, an investment property is a piece of real estate that you can rent out to a person, family, or even a business. There are 4 different types of investment properties, and this could be a single family home, a suited home, a condo, an apartment, or a commercial property. In this video, I'm not going to talk about commercial properties, but I am going to go over residential real estate. Now, there are 2 different types of ways to generate wealth using rental properties. There's both cash flow and appreciation. But in Lethbridge specifically, there's only one type of property that provides both, which I'm going to talk about in a second. In general, different types of properties have their own pros and cons. Depending on the situation, I could recommend purchasing almost all types of revenue properties, except for single family homes. So let's talk about those first. The reason for this, generally speaking, again, mostly in my market right here in Lethbridge, is unless you're buying an investment property as a single family home, buying the property entirely in cash, or at least the majority in cash, more like 50% or more, it's going to be very tough to cash flow on a single family home, let alone break even. And there's just a lot of maintenance that goes into owning a single family home, and with only one source of rental income, it's tough to balance all these expenses and carry a mortgage. Now, I have heard of people renting an entire house to university students, for example, room by room, and sometimes you can actually make more cash flow month over month doing it this way, but you're going to be stuck collecting rents from 4 to 5 people every single month, and you're just going to have to chase around all these different payments, which to me sounds like a headache. But if you want to go ahead and do it that way, to each their own. Now, the only other reason I would recommend buying an entire single family home as a rental property is if it was a super unique property that either was very small or interesting enough that it could be used as a short-term Airbnb rental. But Airbnbs are another video all into itself, so we're not going to get into Airbnbs in this video. We're just talking about long-term rentals. But in summary, for a single family home, for 90% of cases, these properties I would not recommend purchasing as a revenue property. Okay, so now let's talk about townhomes, condos, or apartments. And I'm going to group all of these together and call them attached properties, because that's what we call them as realtors, and you search them up, they're called attached properties. So from here on out, I'm just going to call them attached. Now, most attached properties are going to be part of a condo association or a condo board. In BC, they're called a strata, but in Alberta, they are called a condominium association. And a condo board is a company that's in charge of maintaining usually the exterior of the property as well as the grounds. So every month, you as the owner of one of these properties would pay a monthly fee to one of these condo associations to take care of things like snow removal, landscaping, general maintenance, maybe windows and siding, and on and on and on. And what I hear most often from investors is they say that they don't want anything to do with a condo board because those monthly fees really eats into their cash flow. But this is where I kind of disagree. Yes, there is a condo fee that's going to cost you more each month, but those condo fees takes care of a lot of maintenance, and in most cases, even insurance, and sometimes even some of the utilities. So why would you buy an attached property with a condo fee as an investment? Well, because a lot of that maintenance is covered for you. And an attached property has the potential of being very hands-off and actually a less risky investment, a lot less riskier than a single family home, for example. For example, here in Lethbridge, you could get started buying your first attached property. For example, a 1-bedroom apartment here in Lethbridge goes for about $125,000. And the condo fee is going to be anywhere between $250 and $350 per month. Already, that is very inexpensive and a very low entry point to get yourself into that rental market. And once you get a renter in there, the only thing that you really have to worry about maintaining is the inside of the property, like the flooring, the bathrooms, the appliances, and really anything inside of your walls, and that's just about it. And this is what I mean when I say that buying an attached property is less risky than a single family home. Because with a single family home, you're gonna have to worry about things like a new roof, a new hot water tank, new siding, lawn care, snow removal, and the list goes on, and those things can really add up. But a downside is that you can't control how the condo corporation spends their money or when the next condo fee increase is going to be. So investing in an apartment or a condo is much less work, it's much less maintenance, and they're cheaper properties. But the downside is that they typically do not appreciate nearly as fast as a single family home. There is less risk, but there's also less reward. Now, before we keep going, I just wanted to pause the video right here and let you know that if you're interested in investing in Lethbridge or a rental property, down below in the description is a link to sign up for auto email listings. Basically how this works is you type in your criteria, just let me know if you're looking for a rental property or a single family home, and I'm going to set you up with an auto email list of all new properties that come on the market right here in Lethbridge. Basically, the first email you're going to get is every listing that's available within your criteria. And every time a new listing hits the market, you're going to get an email with that listing so you never miss one. Now let's get back to the video. Next, let's talk about suited homes. Now, a suited home looks very similar on the outside to a single family home. However, a suited home would have an additional space, usually a basement suite that would have its own kitchen, bathroom, living room, and bedroom down below. And ideally, it would have its own separate entrance with very little interaction with the other suite. I'm not talking about a mother-in-law suite or a home with a simple wet bar. I'm talking about a home with its own full-size kitchen, bathroom, parking, entrance, etc. And in terms of rental properties, these are some of my favorite rental properties and the ones I recommend most. And the reason is because you can make two income streams from one house, because the main floor would be paying its rent all on its own, and the downstairs would also be paying you rent. However, when you're looking for a suited home online, in Alberta, we have what's called a legally suited home and illegally suited homes. And a legally suited home in Lethbridge basically means that the city has deemed the property safe to have two separate tenants living in one property, and that both suites have adequate parking, heating services, and a few other things that can be a bit technical, so let's not worry about them too much here. Basically, the advantage of having a legally suited home is that you can have this property forever and you're not going to have any issues because it's actually allowed to be there. And you can actually use both of those income streams towards your income to qualify for a higher price suited home. Now, this is a bit of a mortgage question, but it can help you actually get more properties by having that income on your books and being able to purchase more properties down the road. However, the downside to a legally suited home is that they're usually a little bit more expensive than illegally suited homes. However, the other option is an illegally suited home. Basically, an illegally suited home could mean a lot of things. It could mean that the area is not zoned for a suite. There might not be permits for the basement suite. The suite not might be safe, but it could also mean that everything in the house is safe, but there's just not enough parking, or there's no separate furnace. It's a little bit more difficult to explain what an illegally suited home is, and if you could actually get it up to being legally suited in the future. But what's important to know is that an illegal suite means that it's not approved by the city, and if they find out you have an illegally suited home, they could actually force you to remove the suite, which is obviously a risk. However, the chances of this happening, in my opinion, are fairly low. However, it could happen, and if you have bad renters, and if they're partying all the time, or parking in your neighbor's driveway, or they're just not getting along with your neighbors in any ways, and you're getting complaints to the city, you could have a big problem. However, there is a benefit to illegally suited homes in that they're usually less expensive than a legally suited home. However, my hope with the housing crisis and the rental shortage is that the city will start to loosen up these rules on what they deem legally suited homes so that more people can convert some of their properties into having these suites in their properties and their homes to hopefully open up the rental market and make some more housing for more people and make illegally suited homes easier to become legal suites. But I don't control that, so who knows when that'll happen. So in summary, for illegally suited homes, they can be a good revenue property, they can generate good cash flow, but of course, you want to make sure that they're safe for your tenants and that you do need to take on some risk that the suite is non-compliant. Either way, suited homes are at the top of my list for recommended investment properties. They provide the most amount of cash, and they also appreciate much faster than a condo or a townhome or what we call an attached property. Now, that's not to say condos and townhomes and attached properties do not appreciate, but in general, they just don't appreciate as fast as detached homes. That's really hard to say. So, which investment property should you buy? Well, at the end of the day, this is kind of your decision, and each type of property has its own pros and its own cons, like we've talked about. But let me just lay this out for you so it's crystal clear. If you're looking for the most revenue and the most appreciation, then I would highly recommend a suited revenue property, something where you can get two rental incomes from one house. But also keep in mind that these type of properties are the most amount of work to maintain, and they're much more hands-on. So if you're a handy person, you want to roll up your sleeves and you want to take on maintaining another home, I would say that a suited home is a fantastic investment. However, if you're not very handy and you're cash flowing enough that you don't mind just putting in some extra money into maintaining the property from time to time, you might want to think about hiring a property manager, which might be another video all in itself. So if you want to learn more about property managers and how they can help you out, leave a comment down below. But if you are handy and you don't want to hire a property manager and you're very, very risk adverse, but you still want to get into the rental market and you want more of a hands-off investment, then I would highly recommend an attached property and paying a condo fee to take care of those big ticket items on the outside and take care of the day-to-day maintenance. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.